Welcome to Electronic Game Information. I'm your host, Robby Rackleff. We're currently 4 weeks away from the Game Developers Conference in beautiful downtown San Francisco, California, but rumors and speculation are already swirling for this historic event in this classic town. But before we get into anything directly related to the Game Developers Conference, I have an announcement, and it's that I've finally started playing Dark Souls 2. Over the holidays, as a gift to myself, I bought myself Dark Souls 2: The Scholar of the First Sin Edition. I found a Steam key on sale on one of those resale sites. I won't say which one because it could have been illegal, but it was on sale for $7. I don't care what anyone says. That's a good deal. That's a good deal for Dark Souls 2, and I don't think I need to explain this, but I will. Dark Souls 2 is a big game. It is a long game, and Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin Edition includes all of the DLC. This is one of those games I can't really figure out if I'm going to be spending 30 to 50 or 100 hours playing. I can't accurately make that assessment at this time, and it would be foolish for me to try. But I will say this: I thought I'd be spending around 80 hours playing The Witcher 3, and I ended up sinking more like 190 in there. But just for the record, I'd like to imagine that I will get around 80 hours out of Dark Souls 2: Scholar of the First Sin Edition. But until I see those end credits, we don't know. It could be longer. It could be that I'm one of those people that just doesn't struggle with Dark Souls 2: Scholar of the First Sin, and I could finish in 30 hours, but I doubt it. You know, weird things are always happening everywhere, all the time, of course. But I don't know. What was the first sin? Was it murder? Anyway, what I can promise viewers is that I will complete Dark Souls 2. I finished Bloodborne. I started a new game plus in Bloodborne, which was a mistake. And let me tell you why. That game is already hard. Very hard. And it gets even harder when you start a new game plus. I bought the old Hunters expansion expecting that I would get to those new areas quickly, and I was wrong. It takes a very long time. Full disclosure, I haven't even finished the first Dark Souls or Demon Souls, but let me explain. I bought Demon Souls way too late. I think I bought it for $5 on PlayStation Network. It was an impulse buy. It was a steal. Great deal. $5 for Demon Souls. But the PS3 had long stopped being my primary console. I was in a state of primarily PC gaming. I was maxed out on PC, and and after playing Far Cry 3, I got Far Cry 2 for $2.50 on sale on one of those third-party websites. I won't tell you which one in case it might be illegal. And I played Far Cry 2 mostly because I wanted to understand the jump between Far Cry, the original Far Cry, and Far Cry 3. And I gotta say, I think it's true that Far Cry 2 is a better game. It's just me. I gotta say there are some trade-offs. Of course, Voss is a better villain than Jackal. But I gotta say, when it comes to that main character, that person that you spend the most amount of time with, I really prefer the blank slate of the mercenary as opposed to Jason Brody. I find Jason Brody to be annoying, and I think that the leveling up system that they had for him has not aged well. I mean, it was contrived right out of the gate. I also think that was the year that Hotline Miami came out. Anyway, this is the point. Things got a little out of hand that year. I went nutso on the Steam sales and the Humble Bundles, and if I had had the foresight to make the spreadsheet, then things would be different. Can we take a look at the spreadsheet for a second? I just wanted to show people how I'm doing. This is the spreadsheet coming up. I'll just press this button. There we go. This is my PlayStation 4 page in my spreadsheet, and you can see up here I've got a number of great PlayStation 4 games. You got the cost that I paid for them. You got the cost that if I resold it through eBay or if I took it to a GameStop, and then you've got the total hours that I've sunk into each of the games. And some of these games do track your hours even on the PlayStation 4. We all have our complaints about how the PlayStation 4 doesn't have a proper game time tracking, and some of the games have them in the games themselves, but otherwise I usually just go to a website, a community website like How Long to Beat, to just kind of get an estimate for how much, if I played something like the new God of War or Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I can usually just get an average from those websites, and I plug those averages with a tear, bringing the number of hours played down a bit just to be safe, just because I don't want to be telling myself that I'm getting more value for my gameplay than I actually am. So if we go back to the spreadsheet, you can see I paid $30 total. This was a digital version of Dragon Age Inquisition, and I got about 70 hours of gameplay out of it. So that's we're talking less than 50 cents an hour of gameplay, and I'm creeping up there with Red Dead Redemption 2. Which I've sunk about 30 hours in after paying full price.
Robbie.
Yeah, Alan?
Robbie, just a quick question. How are you tracking your Red Dead Redemption 2? You're playing on PS4. How are you tracking those hours?
Yeah, well, I just use a timer on my phone.
Oh, okay.
With games like Dark Souls 2, when it comes to developing my character, I like, I've got some things that I prioritize in most action RPGs that, where you get a lot of character customization. I like to be able to move quick. I like to be able to get in close. So I'm prioritizing speed. I'm prioritizing shorter weapons. And I don't mind it. I'm patient. I mean, with these speedy, smaller weapon guys, it can take a long time to defeat the evil in the world and all the creatures that come with all the evil. I mean, they don't call it Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin Edition because it's fun for people, especially with the bosses and some of the larger enemy types. I'm okay with just sitting there with my short weapons and with my speedy guy and just whittling them down. I don't need a big chunky two-handed Warhammer glaive axe. Anyway, does that make sense? I'm gonna be totally honest. I'm just gonna lay this on the table. I don't even like using a shield in these games. If I have the option, I would like to have 2 short swords in most situations, some extra healing spells, and because we're talking about Dark Souls 2, some of these extra Estus flasks. And I'm just going to be fine in 90% of combat situations. As far as bows and crossbows are concerned, I'll use them if I need to, but they're not really a priority. Anyway, I made a drawing of my character. So that's what my character looks like. You can see it's a pretty accurate representation of the armor that you start with. I did take a couple of liberties with this illustration. Most notably, you'll notice that the thought bubble with the battle rifle from Halo 2 is fairly prominent. It's not a great drawing of the Halo 2 battle rifle, but I think it gets the job done. That if I had the option, if I could make a wish and have it come true when I'm playing something like Dark Souls 2, I would be able to use the Halo 2 battle rifle in most combat scenarios. Going back to the drawing, you'll also notice up in the top right-hand corner there is a train, and there aren't any. There's not any trains in Dark Souls 2, but if you were to kind of think about these games in a different way, maybe you could add in some train levels if you are modding Dark Souls 2. If you're one of those people that has the ability to do those amazing things with those gaming mods, we could have some train levels where you get on a train, you ride around, you see the world maybe a bit faster. You don't have as many bottlenecks where you have these enemies that are just killing you. They're just killing you as soon as you step through a door. You can just see the world. You can see all the beautiful art direction the game has, and maybe you get to visit some of those weird train stations. So I think it would be great to see trains in these games. I think that it's a fantastic game. I'll tell you a little bit about how far I've gotten into it. I started the game up. I pressed start. I got into it. I started taking notes right away because I knew this was going to be a special game. I wanted to track my whole progress in it. The first thing that happens, I meet that coven of red witches. I guess they're a coven of red witches, and they asked my name, and I said my name is Robbie. because that was the first thing that popped into my mind because that's my name. But I messed that up because what I usually like to do in these games, and if you're a fan of the show, you know this, I like to base my game avatars on my beautiful wife, Katie. Katie, if you're out there, I love you. When you're away, I miss you. When I'm playing Dark Souls 2, I wish that you were there with me. So I make my Dark Souls 2 avatar look like you, and I hope it acts like you a little bit. I know we don't have two swords in the house, but one weekend we can go to a flea market and change that. But when I'm playing Dark Souls 2 and I'm playing with an avatar that looks like you, it's like I'm spending time with you. It's like you're home with me, and I hope you come home soon. That's all the progress I've got for Dark Souls 2. I can't wait to get back to this wonderful action adventure game. It's such a big world, such a rich lore behind it. Can't wait to get back with my avatar, which is got my name but looks like my wife. In other news, I started using this generic Wii U Pro controller, and can we get a close up of this? This is a generic Wii U Pro controller. I bought it because I finally got around to playing Bayonetta on the Wii U, Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2. If you know, you get both of those games in a package deal, great deal. And it was stressing me out though, because this is a game that it's fast, it's action-packed, it's twitchy, and if you're playing the game, you're hitting the buttons hard, you're moving the sticks fast, and if you're using the gamepad, it's kind of stressful, because if you're me, you're worried that you're gonna loosen some of the joysticks, or you're gonna press some of the buttons too hard, and it's gonna stop working. And those that gamepad with the screen in it, great responsive gamepad, but not easy to replace. So I wanted to get a Wii U Pro controller, and I did some research, and I found that most of the Wii U Pro controllers that are the Nintendo branded Wii U OEM Wii U Pro controllers are around $50, which I feel like is a little bit too expensive. I did some research. I found this for $12. It had decent reviews, but let me tell you something. I used to have a rule: never buy third-party controllers unless they're made by 8bit2. And that's a good rule to have. It's a good rule to keep, because this thing is the pits. And it just sucks to use. The buttons are weird. They're too hard and they're too soft at the same time. They're somewhere in between, like the PlayStation 4 controller and the Xbox One controller. It just doesn't feel nice. The sticks are too loose. Bayonetta is all about dodging and hitting those combos, and sometimes the buttons on this thing feel like they get a delay. And when you're trying to make all those combos, you try to rack up those points, you're trying to get those grades. That's not good. So this is unacceptable. This is a EGI. This is an EGI rejection notice. I really hate this controller. I still use it to play push mode. All right, so let's take some calls. Hello, callers. You're on the air with Electronic Game Information. I'm your host, Robby Rackleff. We just started talking about this crappy controller I bought for $12. What a waste. You're on the air. Hi, you're on the air with Electronic Game Information. Just started, finished talking about this controller I got for Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2. It's a bad controller. I really think if you're going to be in the market soon for a Wii U Pro controller, you just, put the money up for the $50 controller. Don't settle for this.
Hello?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind? We got the Game Developers Conference coming up in about 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I can't even remember.
Okay, well I'm going to get a Wii U now. You're
going to get a Wii U. What are you thinking about getting for your Wii U? You got a Wii U. You can't just have the system. You got to have games.
There's that Rayman game that came out.
Rayman. Oh, the Legends and Origins.
Yeah.
You can have both. It's a Wii U.
Oh, okay. Well, what other games came out for it?
Well, you have. What do you like? Do you just like platformers?
I'm a shooter guy.
You're a shooter guy. Shooter guy's getting Rayman. Now I've heard it all. Well, if you're a shooter guy, why don't you could you want to go a little crazy. Grab the Conduit 2, which was a Wii game.
Ooh.
But the Wii U also plays Wii U also plays Wii games, and you can use the Wii remote. And the Conduit 2 is a fantastic game. I believe it also has some added sensitivity because of the Wii Motion Plus.
Oh,
so if you got your old
Wii, my Nintendo Power.
Yeah, well, if you've got your old Wii remotes sticking around, you can use that on your Wii U. Never forget that.
Ooh. Okay, well, thank you.
And I'll tell you about one other game that just popped into my head. Red Steel 2.
Hello?
Yes, hi. You're on the air with Electronic Game Information. We're talking about, we had a caller wanted to talk about Wii U games. You talked about Rayman. We talked about Conduit 2, and I think I got cut off, but I was talking about Red Steel 2, which if are you a Wii gamer?
I am definitely a Wii gamer. I'm a big Nintendo guy. I've been playing more time on the Switch than the Wii U lately, but the Wii U is great.
That's understandable. I mean, obviously the Wii U's time has passed. But did you happen to play Red Steel 2 on the Wii?
No, I never got the chance to play Red Steel 2.
You know what it's about?
Nope.
It's a game that uses the Wii U remote and the joystick, and it mixes gunplay and swordplay. And there was actually the second one, but the first one was not a good game, but the second one fixed almost all the problems, added some extra elements that made it feel unique and different, and it was a fantastic find. If you have some extra time, you want to hunt down some great Wii games.
That sounds great. I might invest in that. You don't always get the too serious games on the sort of Nintendo platforms, and so something where you've got it integrating the two different sort of fighting styles with the guns and the swords seems pretty cool.
This is for you. I have a feeling this is your game. You're look it up on eBay. I bet you can find just a disc cheaply, and you'll enjoy the hell out of it. I promise.
All right. I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna get that.
All right. Well, thank you for your call. We're gonna take a quick video break, and we'll be right back.
Run the track, and nobody look back. Them say, run the track, hey, run the track, and nobody look back.
All right, I think it's time to check in with Alan on the chat. Alan, are you there?
Yes, Robbie, I am here. I am inside of the chat, and we are just 4 weeks away from the Game Developers Conference, and people are sounding off in the chats. They have a lot of great things to say.
Yeah.
You want to hear some of that?
I would love to hear.
Okay.
And Alan, we're actually about 2 weeks away. I got that wrong on the first
okay.
You get so excited with these big game development conferences coming up. You just say one thing when another thing is true. You know how it is.
Yes, it happens to everyone. Don't feel bad about that. So someone in the chat here says, EGI is my favorite video game-based show. That is a very nice thing.
Wow, that's a great thing to say. They said that in the chat?
Yeah, right in the chat they said that. Someone here says, does Robbie like anime at all? That's an interesting question.
Well, yeah, I do. I actually do like anime. I like, I spent a lot of time watching stuff like Ninja Scroll and Ghost in the Shell when I was younger. But, lately I've enjoyed stuff like, Planet, the Titan, Attack on Titan.
Oh, Attack on Titan. Okay. That's a video game. That's a video game.
Yeah, they also made some video games out of that, which is helpful because if you want, that's a rich world filled with lots of lore, and if you want to explore that on your own time, you can do that.
Okay, Chipperson asks,
hey,
what
Chip.
is your favorite vehicle combat in a game? That's kind of an interesting
favorite vehicle. I mean, you got to go with Halo 3.
All right,
Halo 3, hands down. I'm a big fan of the Twisted Metal Black on the original on PlayStation 2. But I mean, Halo 3, I will play just the vehicle segments in that game.
All right, yeah, you heard it here first. Chipperson, he'll play the vehicle sections and not the rest of the game. Very cool. So that's the chat.
Wow, Alan, I noticed you're not who you're supposed to be there.
Oh, yes, I am dressed up as Raiden from Mortal Kombat. I heard that you were going to be Raiden, and I thought, Robbie's kind of my role model. He's a cool guy. I'm going to dress like Robby.
Well, I mean,
How fun is that?
I appreciate that. I think it's a fun thing to do. I think it adds something new to the show.
Yeah,
but I
you're
gotta
welcome.
say, you're missing something there, bud.
Huh?
You're missing up top on the old you're missing the hat.
Oh, I am wearing a hat.
No, you're missing the Raiden's hat. Raiden's got a famous hat.
Oh,
and it looks like you might have actually gotten the same costume as me, so I'm pretty sure it came with a hat.
Oh, yeah.
A special hat.
Yes. The costume came with a hat. I didn't feel comfortable wearing that. I didn't feel it was appropriate for me to be wearing a hat like that, and I chose to kind of wear my own hat. Just, I didn't want to make anyone feel bad, so I just... I'm Raiden. I just have my own.
I just want to be clear. There's a problem with the hat?
I felt that the hat could be viewed as stereotypical, could be viewed as offensive by some people. I just felt safer to just wear my own hat. No big deal. So let's see what people are saying in the chat here.
I mean, Christopher Lambert.
Talking about the hat.
Are you? I mean, is this? Raiden's always had a hat.
The background.
I don't think I mean.
Yes.
There's
Raiden
a few scenes in the Mortal Kombat movie where Christopher Lambert is just wearing white robes. And he's got long. He does wear the hat in the movie.
It just doesn't wear that hat. He just wears a different hat. That's no big deal. People love you. People love you in the chat.
Should I be worried about the hat?
It's a personal choice. If you feel comfortable wearing that hat,
I felt fine about it 20 minutes ago.
Okay. I did not mean to make you feel weird about the hat. You look good in that hat. I think you're being true to the character. That was an old game. The character was made a long time ago, and I just like that movie was made a while ago, and maybe they weren't thinking about hats as much as we think about them now. But if I was
doing this and I was shocking a guy until he blew up,
it's just
would that be a problem?
It's a throwback. It's a throwback to a different time, and it's you do you. I'm just going to wear this hat.
I'm a little freaked out.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to freak out.
Okay,
people love you in the chat
thank you,
here.
Alan.
People are giving you a lot
for
of
checking
love.
in. Keep it up in the chat. We'll check out. We'll check back in with you sooner than you think. Turning to the game I made up, we got a little sidetrack last time when talking about Spawn and Shadowhawk and the thing in the tunnel in Jasper's basement. There was a long discussion about the wagon, which acts as a mobile base of operations and armory, among other things. But just to recap, we're in a small New England town called Gloomsbrook. Spawn and Shadowhawk are there. They're trying to get home, but they recognize there's a lot of evil going on in this town. We're talking about the evil in the world of Dark Souls 2. Now we're talking about the evil in the world of the game I made up in Gloomsbrook. So Spawn and Shadowhawk, they're gonna work on that. But to do a really good job, they need to get out of Gloomsbrook, but they can't because of the poisonous miasma surrounding Gloomsbrook. To get through that, they need a protective amulet from Jasper, but he sells them, and he sells them. He doesn't just give them away, and they don't have any money. So Jasper has a creature in a tunnel under his house. He'll give the amulet to Spawn and Shadowhawk if they get rid of the creature for him. I will say that we did need that time to talk about the wagon. It's an integral game element. I would say for me it really ties the whole adventure together. I mean, you can just fit so much. You can just fit so much into the wagon. And I recently played a bit of Moonlighter, and that made me realize that Spawn and Shadowhawk, they could open their own store with the stuff that they put in the wagon. They could sell stuff out of the wagon once they completed more quests and made more sort of palpable relationships with NPCs. But that's another thing to consider. We really need to talk about the game's combat tonight. And last time I described it as a mix of real-time and turn-based, similar to the Xenoblade games, and that's still the case. But I've added another element, which is the ability to target specific areas on an enemy, similar to the VATS targeting system in the recent Fallout games, with the possible exception of Fallout 76. I don't really know anything about it. I'm guessing nobody out there does. Let's get right into the moment that it happens. So the creature reveals itself to Spawn and Shadowhawk and says, "Oh!" Oh! The creature is revealing itself. I'll just do a delay on the creature slide. Oh! 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 Oh, it's been so long since I've had visitors. Yes, yes, you must please come and sit. Come and lie down. The weight of your days. Oh, the weight of your days. It must be the weight of your days that dragged you down here with me. And then that's what the creature says. Then Spawn says, "I don't know what you mean, but we aren't here because we feel bad." Shadowhawk follows up, "Do you know Jasper? He's the villager who owns this house." And the creature says, "Jasper? Yes, he's told me that you would come here. He's added to the weight of your days. Shame! Shame on that man. What did he ask you to do?" And then Spawn says, "We're supposed to take care of you. He didn't specify how, but I have an idea." And then the creature responds, "Shame on that man and the weight of his days. He means to kill me, to send assassins down, down. What did he offer you?" And then Shadowhawk says, "An amulet to get us through the woods safely." And the creature responds, rotten man, stinking vermin. Did he tell you how he came to find this tunnel? Did he tell you why he chose this house, this particular house? Did he tell you how he came down here with his runes and his symbols and his flute? Did he tell you how he made me dance to the songs that were written for things that never saw the light of God? He tracked me down like an animal, and he put me in his magic cage. He made me walk between the worlds, break my bones, squeezing into the cracks between life and dreams and nightmares. Out there in the back halls of reality, there are places where even the most uncommon of beings such as myself find it hard to keep their senses. I walked in the dust fields of dead moons. I nearly drowned in rivers that moved like water but felt like skin. I saw the wolf-like visages of dream eaters. They howled at me, and all the light drained from the universe like a suck. But he made me go. He made me collect and scrounge like a mouse. He made me bring back those stones and gems he uses in his amulets, the trinkets he sells to lonely housewives and filthy drunkards whose manhood has limped. For years I was his toy, and he laughed at me when I screamed at him in frustration and agony. I was a quiet thing. I had my own songs and my own thoughts, but the endless searching for the treasure made me go mad. I bided my time. I watched his spell casting and I paid attention. I recorded his entrapment rituals like a ledger. One night when he came down to torment me and send me out to walk between the worlds, I lashed out and destroyed the charms that he needed to keep me enthralled. He ran and I chased him, but he got away. And he sealed me underneath his house. I lived here once on my own, down here for a long time with quiet thoughts. But when he left me behind his barriers, I was alone again, but my thoughts were loud and obnoxious. I made sure to scream and shake with them as they rattled around in my brain so that he would never sleep soundly again, that the weight of his days would be unbearable with the weight of mine. And then Spawn says, strange. And then Shadowhawk says, why didn't he just leave? And then the creature says, because we are tethered. He and I, inseparable, at least in this house. I suppose He knows how to keep me trapped in another house, in another town, or maybe on a ship back to the motherland. Who knows? Maybe he wouldn't be safe at all. My kind are clever. I've proven that to him at least. I am also insane. Then Spawn says, I guess there's no way that you'll leave him alone. And then Shadowhawk responds, building on that, we just need Jasper's amulet, dude. And then the creature says, very well. May the weight of your days drag you down to hell with me. And then Philip goes, tra-la-la, because he's in the back somewheres. Anyway, so the creature lunges at Spawn and Shadowhawk, knocking down the doorway, trapping everyone inside together. This is important because in the open world, you can almost make any attempt to run away from an enemy encounter, but this one you can't. You have to fight it. In the combat view, Spawn and Shadowhawk can move freely. The smallness of the chamber kind of locks them in. Like I said, players can flip between Spawn and Shadowhawk as needed. With the AI kicking in for whoever isn't being directly controlled. Let's check in on the phone, see if there's any questions for the game that I made up. Hello, caller. You're on the air. We're just finished talking about the game that I made up. Spawn and Shadowhawk are just on the threshold of fighting this creature.
Oh, that's interesting. Also, I wanted to say that Alan wanted to say hi.
You want to say hi to me?
I wanted to let you know. Yeah.
He's supposed to be. That's I'm so happy that Alan's here. It's such a special time of year at Game Developers Conference, only 2 weeks away. But he's supposed to be interacting with you guys, not me. If you could just let him know that. Remind him.
All right, I'll let him know.
All right, thank you. Did you have any questions about the game that I made up?
It's such an interesting. Your development of the game is so interesting that I think it just transcends my plane of understanding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's such a flattering thing to say. I mean, you put so much thought into something, and you worry that it's going to be derivative. But when you say something like that, it really makes me feel like we're on to something really special with this game.
Yeah, man, I absolutely cannot wait to play it. I will pay top dollar to play that game.
You're day one. You're a day one purchaser.
Yeah, I'm a pre-order purchaser.
You're a pre-order. You're going to preload the game.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I will right now to pay for it.
Well, that means that I'm just going to have a day one patch ready for you, and then in 3 months' time we'll do a quality of life patch. We're just going to keep it going for the people that support this. This is a lifelong project.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
good.
Thank you for your call.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Got another caller on the line. Hello, you're on the air with Electronic Game Information. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
What's on your mind?
I was just thinking about that game you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously got a little bit deeper into the backstory of how the creature came to torment Jasper in the basement. I think that's it's important to have these moments because you want to make sure that you're not just falling into the same stereotypes of how enemies and heroes kind of interact in these games.
Yeah, I was really deep. I was really connecting with it. I'm curious, is there going to be like a branching path at all?
Is there? Is there going to be a branching path? I mean, once they get out of this town, I mean, the whole world's going to. We're talking about, excuse me, colonial New England. I mean, there's other towns. There's kind of more. There's like settlements by like weird families. There's
Robbie.
Alan.
Robbie, I got to butt in here for a second.
Of course.
You got me?
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, Alan, you're still in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I'm in the chat, and I gotta just interrupt here because people are loving this game you made up. I just wanted you to know. Oh. Someone here says, "I'm loving the world building." Wow, that was Doofus Brigade.
First and foremost, I see myself as a world builder.
Absolutely. I see you that way as well. Hey, check out this comment. Someone actually wrote, Robbie should win a Nobel Peace Prize for his great ideas. Isn't that cool?
Well, one of the things that could fit in the wagon would be a big prize.
Yes, people want to buy this game. Someone asks, will the game be coming out on the Wii U console? What do you think about that?
Well, that's a great question. Even though Nintendo has officially stopped supporting the game, the Wii U games haven't really been coming out on it so much. But the eShop is still up, so
totally.
If someone's willing to help me code this game, for the Wii U, I would be happy to put it on.
All right, I'll let people in the chat know you're looking for help with coding of the game. Someone here writes, "Oh my God, ask Robby, have you gone and shopped this game around the developers and publishing companies? A lot of exclamation points and question marks."
No, I haven't. I have not.
Okay, I'll let them know you haven't done that. Let's see. People just love you. They want you to know that you're a great guy. Ooh, people want to pre-order the game. They like the creature a lot.
Oh, the creature is such a complicated character.
Moop here says the creature has real character depth. I think that's a compliment.
Well, that's important to have. It's if you have these one-dimensional enemy types all the time, you're just gonna. The game is gonna feel flat and repetitive. You got to give these things some, some weight.
So, someone here is calling you handsome. What should I say?
That's flattering. I feel great about that.
I'll say Robby likes being called handsome.
I don't. This is a video game show. It's a family show.
I spelled handsome wrong, but you are handsome. So just take a compliment.
Alan, knock it off.
Okay, I'm fun. I do want to quickly say that I'm sorry if I made you feel weird about your hat choice. You look great. Just go with it.
All right. Thank you, Alan. I think we're going to take another caller right now. Hi, you're on the air with Electronic Game Information. We're just going over some stuff with the game I made up. This is our Game Developers Conference coverage.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing tonight?
I'm really good.
What's on your mind?
I had a question about the game that you made up.
Absolutely.
So the poison miasma that's surrounding Bloomsbrook, is that have any kind of historical representation of real world New England colonial times, or what's the story behind that?
Well, it's a bit I don't know. Maybe there was poisonous miasmas in colonial New England, but the real reason that it's there is to make sure that Spawn and Shadowhawk stay in the town, so that they can go through all of the town's main story missions and side missions, and
I see.
Yeah. You want to make sure that you understand you get the groundwork from the game in Gloomsbrook, so that you can go out into the world and see it.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So do you think there's going to be other real-world locations that
absolutely.
Shadowhawk are going to be going to?
I'm thinking Boston.
Boston, absolutely. A little bit of Fallout 4.
Yeah, maybe there could be some references. Besides the VATS targeting system, of course.
That would just be wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your call. We're going to take a quick video break. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the list. And tonight's list is, this is a special list. This is a list that I put a lot of thought into. This is Game Boy Advance games that I think should be remastered as widescreen Nintendo Switch eShop games. And this is, I just want to make sure this is, I'm perfectly being clear about this. This is not a virtual console situation. The virtual console is an emulator, and these are, we're talking widescreen remasters of individual games. So each game is going to need its own tender love and care to keep to make these widescreen versions possible. So let's just get right into the list. Actually, one last thing, we're talking about these games are not the obvious ones. we're not going to do Metroid Zero Mission. We're not doing Metroid Fusion or the Legend of Zelda games, the Minish Cap. We're going to be talking about games that aren't particularly obvious. So let's go right into the list. These are kind of second-tier games. These are second-tier Game Boy Advance games like Boktai, The Sun is in Your Hands. I mean, fantastic action RPG. Would love to see it just be stretched out so we could see a little bit more. I'd love to see Ninja 5.0. Ninja 5.0 is on the list tonight. We got Metal Warriors on the list. That's a Super Nintendo game, but I'd still love to see Metal Warriors in widescreen. Let's go ahead and check in with Alan on the chat. Alan, I'm losing my voice a little bit here.
Robbie, you're losing your voice, but you're crushing the list. You're doing a wonderful job on the list. And
I don't know.
People have suggestions for games to put on the list.
Well, let's hear some suggestions.
Someone had Pokemon 4, Pokemon 3.
We're not doing the obvious games. These are second-tier games on the list. We're remastering them in the widescreen ratio.
Okay, I'll tell them. Kirby and the Magic Mirror they want to put on that list. Would you put that on the list?
I would consider putting that on the list.
All right,
I do think that, one of the things that when I was playing the Kirby and the Magic Mirror so many years ago is that I felt like the 4:3 ratio or whatever the ratio is on the original Game Boy Advance was just suffocating it.
This is a fun list.
This is a fun list.
This is a fun... Advanced Wars, I don't know the Yo.
Advanced Wars is an obvious game.
Oh, it's too obvious.
It's too obvious. It's got the word advance in it at the very beginning. It's
Astro Boy Omega Factory.
Astro Boy Omega Factory is on the list.
Okay,
if I hadn't been worried that I was going to lose my voice, I still might lose my voice, Alan. It's going to happen. It's just going to have to happen tonight.
Yeah, people will
this is a hard night.
Your lips if you lose your voice.
We've got Game Developers Conference is coming up in 2 weeks.
I thought it was 4 weeks.
I'm losing my
Robbie,
damn voice, Alan.
If someone said put Mother 3 on the list.
Mother 3 is a fantastic. It's a role-playing game. It didn't come out in America, but I'd love to see a widescreen remaster on the Nintendo Switch eShop.
What about Wario Worlds 3? They want on that list.
Wario Worlds 3?
I don't know. Oh, Battletoads.
Battletoads. I would put Battletoads on. I don't think Battletoads. When did that come out on Game Boy Advance, Alan? You're the Game Boy Advance expert.
I don't know. Mario 10. No, that's a Virtual Boy.
Right, of course.
Diddy Kong Racing.
Okay, Diddy Kong Racing is a fine game to put on any list that requiring a widescreen remaster. I'd put it on a list tonight. I'd put it list on another day. It's a fantastic racing game.
Got it.
A lot of heart, a lot of characters, a lot of new. I loved all those different moving parts and all the levels that you dodge around. One thing that people aren't. I'm surprised people haven't brought up on in the chat, Alan, is Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town.
Yeah, they haven't brought that up. They brought up all these other games.
Well, if you love Harvest Moon, if you have friends, you're in Mineral Town, you're just getting stifled by that 4:3 aspect ratio. You got to stretch it out.
What about Fire Pro Wrestling?
Fire Pro Wrestling, love to see widescreen Fire Pro Wrestling. Hello,
okay,
you're on the air with Electronic Game Information. We're talking about the list.
Okay, you should definitely put on Sengoku Rants.
Wait, is this a Game Boy Advance game?
I'm fairly certain, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, because that's important because these are Game Boy Advance games. We're asking people to make widescreen versions of them and put them on the Nintendo eShop.
Yep, I'm pretty sure that's on the list, buddy. By the way, I love your Ray costume.
Oh, thank you so much. Raiden is when I was playing Mortal Kombat 2 as a kid, when I was playing Mortal Kombat 3 as a teenager, I always played as Raiden, even if Raiden wasn't in Mortal Kombat 3.
I have to say, I always got my ass kicked in Mortal Kombat, so I usually stick to Soul Calibur myself.
Soul Calibur's a fantastic fighting game, I gotta say. It's not on the list. Alan, how you doing?
I didn't know I was still on the list.
You're still on. We're still, of course. We do the list until we tell you not to do the list.
Yeah, you tell me when it's over.
What are you people saying about the list?
People love the list. They want all sorts of things on this list.
I bet people are on the chat making fun of me because I said I was playing as Raiden in Mortal Kombat 3, and there's Raiden isn't in Mortal Kombat 3.
They love it. They love it.
They love it.
The Legacy of Goku, is that a game?
He's telling me these things. I got to say I'm a little preoccupied, but
Snood.
Snood?
They want the Snood on the list.
You got to get Snood on the list.
Yeah, that could be fun.
I'd love to play a Snood in widescreen.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well that was the list.
Pikmin.
Well, thank you.
Okay, bye.
You know, there's a rumor floating around that a redesigned Nintendo Switch may be released later this year. One that potentially focuses more on the portability of the system and could potentially lose the cartridge slot. You know, there's another rumor going on that there's an Xbox One console coming out this spring that's not going to have a disc drive. And it's possible that both of these are true. It's possible that none of them are true, but even if one of them's true, that's a big deal. I mean, we've been here before with the PSP Go, and while that iteration of the portable never really found its footing, it's safe to say that system didn't have the installed player base that the Nintendo Switch or even the Xbox One have. I don't know about all of this. I've been burned by rumors. Just a few weeks ago, people were telling me that Metroid Prime Trilogy was about to be re-released on the Switch, pending the Nintendo Direct. That was, I believe, February 13th. And that was a great Nintendo Direct. I mean, with all the information about Dragon Quest XI and Fire Emblem Three Houses, the Super Mario Maker 2 trailer. I mean, it was a great Nintendo Direct. But there wasn't any mention of a Metroid Prime Trilogy. So I'm not that into rumors right now, but that didn't stop me from imagining about things that aren't even rumors. I guess you could call it daydreaming. I was sitting in my living room and I was looking at my PlayStation 3 and I started thinking to myself, there should be a discless version of the PlayStation 3. With all the PS Plus, PS3 games I own, I'll never get through them all. But if I had a little tiny PS3 box, just something the size of those Roku boxes, not the dongles, the boxes. Well, maybe I would just play a few more PlayStation 3 digital games. That would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. Now, I know there was a PlayStation TV, but I never really got a grip on what that was, so I'm not going to address it. But what we're talking about is a discless PlayStation 3. Remember those tiny PlayStation 2s? It could be the same size as that. Probably wouldn't get as hot. And, I guess I just don't like how big the PlayStation 3 is anymore. It's just me. By this time in its lifespan, it shouldn't be that big. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Make a smaller version of the PlayStation 3 that uses a solid-state drive and doesn't have a DVD drive and sell it to me for under $100. I'd buy it, probably. That's not really a commitment, but I'd look into it. Do that. Just do that or make the PS4 backwards compatible. Do whatever makes sense. There's an old saying. Don't fix what's broken. I disagree with that. If you can take a bulky video game system and make it smaller and save some space in my living room shelf, I'm willing to take a serious look at that purchase, even if I already own the system. All right, so that's our coverage of Game Developers Conference 2019. We'll be back here same time, same place next week.